Good afternoon, good noon, or good morning, depending on where you are in the country. Thank you very much for joining me today to learn about 5 technology systems that will be instrumental in reopening your facilities. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day. I appreciate you taking some time in a very tumultuous time as well. Hopefully we can go find ways to find a sense of normalcy and to create a new normal that will be beneficial to ourselves, to those that occupy our spaces, and to our communities as well. That said, let's dive in. Okay, my name is Dan Littman. I am the Director of Development at Pure UVC and also have a foot in the door at Generations Brands. My responsibilities at both companies is marketing, educational initiatives, just like this one, and internal systems. And my background is one of science and engineering. I have a bachelor's of science in electrical and computer engineering from Rutgers University. So that said, this is some technologies that are very exciting to me. I hope they're exciting to you, and let's dive in to what those technologies are. So to take a little bit of a setting here, why do we need technology and how can we use technology? This is a quote by Laurie Anderson, the wife of the late, great Lou Reed, and a wonderful artist and activist in her own right. And she said, "Technology is the campfire around which we tell our stories." This is what we want technology to be. Technology is meant to assist and support us, not to run our lives, not to run the way that we want to operate, but to make everything run smoother. In the case of post-coronavirus, we need to find ways to use technology to raise efficiency, to be able to be flexible, and to ensure safety. Now, a quote from Sir Arthur C Clarke, a favorite author of mine, again, engineer, a bit of a sci-fi nerd there. And he said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is equivalent to magic." And we have an opportunity to create a bit of a sense of wonder and to create an amazing environment inside of our offices, one that allows us to be, to quote another great sci-fi movie, almost more human than human in our operation, to be able to remain human, to be able to remain efficient as we go and operate on a daily basis. And finally, one more quote here. "Getting information off the internet is like taking a drink from a fire hydrant," said Mitchell Kapoor. So thank you very much for listening. I know there's a lot of information that you get online, so thanks again for taking the time to listen to us here. Okay. Post-coronavirus issues. What are we trying to address with our technology? 1, working in the new normal and addressing, assessing, and defining the new normal and taking that one step forward, creating a new normal. We have the opportunity to be the agents of change. Continuing on, ensuring safe and effective workspaces and solutions. This is part of the new normal. Promoting work from home when possible. We have seen on a radically large basis a movement of the workforce from office to home. Unfortunately or fortunately, based on your disposition, there will always be a need for central offices. So we need to ensure that those central offices meet some certain mandates that will ensure safety and efficiency. And finally, we need to ensure disease preventative measures are taken when possible. So there'll be 3 categories of tech trends that we discussed today. There's going to be remote work, enforcing social distancing, and keeping facilities maximally healthy. 3 different types of tech trends. And let's dive into our first. This is something that at this point has gone very near and dear to our hearts, and that is this. My boss turned herself into a potato and can't figure out how to turn the setting off. So this is a Zoom call where, using one of the filters, a boss turned herself into a talking potato spud and had to have a very serious conversation with her subordinates. So it does provide one of the issues of Zoom conferencing. Now, the other issue of Zoom conferencing, or let's say virtual conferencing, this could be WebEx, this could be Citrix, this could be Google Hangouts, whatever it might be, is if you look at the left screen and you look at the bottom right screen, look at the resolution. Low resolution, spotty sound. There might be some lag time, there might be some kicking off, there might be bandwidth issues. So the first tech trend is going to support this massive rise in increase of using virtual conferencing, right? So Zoom now sees 300 million participants per day. That is up from 10 million in December. That is nearly 3,000% increase. That means that there is a lot more money, a lot more spending, a lot more research, and a lot more development occurring in virtual conferencing. That's going to provide lower latency, so it's going to be less of a gap from when I speak and you hear. There's going to be increased stability, meaning that you're not going to be getting kicked off of those Zoom calls. It's going to mean as well that there's going to be a higher bandwidth, that there's going to be a higher resolution capacity. So that means that we are going to want to have high definition sound and video. How do we accomplish that? We have a few different ways. For an individual, we have plug and play equipment where you can go plug in a microphone, you can go plug in a high definition webcam. Some laptops are coming with better and better innate equipment. But the tech trend that we are seeing more application of is mini studios. So this could come into the form of a permanent install, let's say a la a Zoom huddle room, or it could be a portable setup that can be transferred from room to room, allowing a wide variety of applications. This can be used for the virtual graduations that are happening at schools. It could be used for assemblies, for speeches, for addresses. It could be used for board meetings. It could be used for one-on-one meetings, but it will guarantee high quality video, high quality audio, and it's going to reflect a level of professionalism, and it's going to ensure a clear ability, a natural ability to speak from a remote distance, whether that's a town over, a room over, or several countries over. And just for example here, Generations Brands does have a setup. It's called Simply Live. It's an all-in-one virtual broadcasting technology system. It's meant to be portable. It's meant to have multiple applications and uses. And it does provide that high quality at an affordable and future-proof price point. Continuing on, tech trend number 2, scheduling software and room assignments. So as offices begin to open up, there's going to have to be some adjustments. For example, occupancy schedules will need to be staggered. For example, 2 6-hour shifts. There'll have to be clearly notified spaces that are occupied and at capacity. That's going to include room scheduling, room reservations, and people counting software. That's going to mean central consoles and network-based devices which can distribute that occupancy info. So looking at a central controller, loading up your floor plan on your laptop and seeing which rooms are free to use. Is there enough room for me to come in to the office today? And finally, smart scheduling of shifts. Instead of the standard Team A and Team B, where there's a half divide for the morning and evening shift, finding ways that the people that need to work together can work together through renting these rooms, through knowing when their coworkers are going to be on site. So one way that this can be accomplished here, this is a system from Crestron. Generations Brands is a dealer, designer, and installer of Crestron. And you see a few things here. So you see on the left side of the screen, you have your huddle rooms, your occupancy room, your occupied rooms, your huddle rooms, boardrooms, whatever they might be. And there is clear indication of whether the room is occupied or unoccupied. The other thing that can be done here is that after a room has been occupied, there can be another configuration that says this room is set for disinfection to allow either the facilities team to come in or automated cleaning services like UVC light, which we'll get into a little bit later, to go do what it needs to do. And if you look at the bottom right, what you see there is you see a sensor, and the sensor is what's called a people counter. Very creative name, I know, but what it does is it counts people. And sensors like this are going to be incredibly instrumental to know when spaces are at capacity. The capacity now is likely going to be very different than your fire code capacity because there does need to be that social distancing mandate. So that sensor can be controlled to, or designated to have whatever number it needs to have. A simple console right up front can have a green light to say, hey, you could come in, and a red light that says this room is at occupancy. And again, there can be types of controls that when the room empties after a meeting, disinfection automatically clicks in. All right, tech trend number 3. Facility-wide automated daily comprehensive disinfection. I know that's a mouthful, but it is an incredibly important piece of technology and a protocol to put into place. This is something that quite honestly should have been in place a long time ago, but coronavirus is giving us the incentive to put it into place now. We need to make sure that our high traffic facilities are clean against pathogens. This is going to work, yes, of course, in the time of coronavirus to curb the spread, but it's also going to work during seasonal flus. It's going to work for the common cold. It's going to work during times of year where mold spores are much more active. So a very powerful system and solution for now and into the future. And the best way to accomplish this is through UVC disinfection. UVC disinfection doesn't have any residue or odor that can be dangerous like chemicals. It's an affordable solution and it's a non-invasive solution, meaning that it could be programmed to run when no one's in the space. No one has to do much in that room at all for UVC to work. At Pure UVC, we have a solution. This is something we've been working very hard to design, and it is the safest solution on the market. So UVC disinfection only occurs when the space is unoccupied, depending on the room dimensions and depending on what kinds of lighting are in there. It's going to take approximately 1 to 3 hours for nearly 99.99% disinfection of exposed pathogens. About 2 to 4 fixtures for, let's say, 1,000 square foot room. Local sensors will deactivate UVC fixtures if motion is detected. Now, this is the safeguard. The system is already meant to be on only when the space is empty. That might mean late at night. That might mean when, after a meeting, when that light is red saying, do not enter this room. Regardless, if motion is detected, the system turns off, waits until the space is cleared, and then will turn back on. It does not interfere with existing systems. It has the IntelliSafe app-based controls. This is a one-of-a-kind system that is integrated into each fixture. It allows app-based controls and scheduling, and there's built-in frictionless fans for efficiency and efficacy. So a great system. If you want to learn more, we talk more about this during our weekly Intro to UVC webinar. So we'll continue on from this point. Tech trend number 4, health diagnostic technologies. Now this comes in 2 different forms, and this is something that you might have already seen. So option 1 is going to be personal health trackers and health diagnostics. This can come into the form of something like a Fitbit that measures the different vital statistics based on your baseline and based on the information that it has. It can give you an indication of whether you're healthy or whether you might be coming down with something and you should get checked out. Now, there is potential that facilities and offices will request, just like a doctor's note, some sort of printout that says, hey, I am not contagious. I am safe to come into the office. Now, on that note, the other type of technology that we're seeing is infrared temperature, non-touch checkers at entrances to facilities. These come in the form of whether like it's a security guard where someone walks in, gets checked, and the security guard says yes, or I'm sorry, please go back home or to the doctor. Or it could come into a, let's say, smart version where you go in, automatically get your temperature checked, and only when you're assessed that you're an authorized user for the facility and your temperature checks out does the door open up and allow you in. This is a technology that does have some interesting implications, but it is one that is necessary at this point, and it is one that for temporary measures can definitely be set up. But we'll see where, especially because we do have a largely urban population and a population that does interact on a global way, allowing for diseases like we saw with coronavirus to spread very, very quickly, that some of these measures might be permanent installs going forward. So here's an example from FLIR, a industry leader in imaging software and imaging cameras, of what this might look like. Again, very non-invasive, very simple. Finally, tech trend number 5 is IoT integrations. Personally, this has been something that I've been looking forward to for a long time because it allows for smart buildings. Smart buildings are more economical buildings. Smart buildings are greener buildings, and smart buildings allow for workflow to happen more efficiently. IoT means the Internet of Things. It is when interconnected devices are able to communicate and link with one another. And these might be seemingly unrelated devices like lighting fixtures, HVAC systems, the doors, laptops, etc. In the time of coronavirus, these types of systems can be used for many ways. They could offer people counting technology and have logic built in to assess what needs to happen. For example, if a room gets to occupancy, then the door can be locked from one way, allowing only people to exit. Or if a room has been occupied for too long, a notification can come from the loudspeaker saying, please clear the room, we need disinfection. It can provide warnings when people are standing too close. It can allow contact tracing. I know here in New Jersey, where I'm based out of, Governor Murphy has made a huge point about rigorous and robust contact tracing to allow those that have been infected to reach out, or I should say, for those that have been in contact with someone infected to be reached out to in order to notify them that they might be carriers of this disease, right? It is something that's important, and it is a big step in curbing pandemics. Continuing on, IoT tech can offer touchless entry to doors. It can automatically ping facility teams to provide cleaning of spaces and technologies. It could automatically ping the UVC disinfection system. It could connect directly with the infrared thermal imaging camera to lock or unlock the door. So a lot of very interesting applications for now and for the future as well. And here's, for example, something that it might look like. This is from Enlightened. They're an industry leader in IoT facility-wide systems, where you have density heat maps, so you know from a period of time which areas were most crowded. You have motion trails, so you could go see where someone was. You have employee location and digital contact tracing. This could be also asset tracing. I remember speaking with a representative from Enlightened about a nursing facility where the system was placed, and they tracked all of the wheelchairs. So anytime a nurse needed a wheelchair, they were able to find the closest one and be able to get one quickly. So as we end off this webinar, I want to go provide one last quote by Virginia Woolf. Why, if it was an illusion, not praise the catastrophe, whatever it was, that destroyed illusion and put truth in its place? This has been a catastrophe. We are living in a very charged time, and those charges have the opportunity to destroy illusions, to destroy old ways of doing things. So there is an opportunity right now to bring in technologies that are going to be more beneficial. Beyond the technology, to live, to work in different ways, to support one another, to support businesses that are going to be of a new normal, ones that take care of our people and that ones that are robust enough to grow in the future. That said, what have we learned so far from the coronavirus pandemic? We've seen greater emphasis on health, physical, mental, and social. And with that, we've seen an end to the concept of coming into the office, dead or alive, of trudging in even though you have a temperature, of trudging in even though you feel sick. And so what that allows is rest and recovery. We've reevaluated traditional workplace standards to more efficient approaches, i.e. work from home, i.e. taking staggered shifts. We've seen some places taking 4-day weeks. We've seen some places adopting 6-hour work days. And finally, continued adoption of technology to support the above. Remember, technology is the fire around which we sit, right? It's the stories that we tell are there assisted by technologies. So I hope that the stories that you tell assisted by the technologies you adopt post-coronavirus are ones of success, ones of growth, ones of inclusion, and ones that support a better tomorrow. Talking about tomorrow, we have a few webinars coming up. So we have our weekly Intro to UVC Lighting every Thursday at different times. Tomorrow is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. We have Best Tech for Outdoor and Virtual Graduations tomorrow at 11 Eastern Standard Time. If you're from a school looking to learn more about how to run your graduation during this unprecedented year, or if you want to learn more about tech trend number 1, the virtual communication system, that'll be for you. And then I'll be running a deep dive into UVC technology on Friday the 12th at 11 Eastern Standard Time, where we talk deeply about what UVC is, how it works, and what is required in the technology. So that said, thank you again very much for joining me this afternoon or morning based on where you are. I will be taking questions and answers as we do at the end of every webinar. And I hope to hear from you, and I hope that you join me again soon. Thank you kindly.